A lot of signs pointed towards a release date reveal for God of War Ragnarok on June 30th, but that is unfortunately not what we got. We did learn some new things like the content for the collector's edition of the game thanks to Tom Henderson, so we'll catch you up to speed on the whole story. And next to that, we also have some info on a new upcoming Marvel game, as well as a pretty big name in Star Wars confirming he is returning to video games. If you're excited for that, then leaving a like on the video would really help the channel out. And let's go. So it all started with this tweet from the Snitch, who earlier had leaked announcements from the Summer Games Fest like Hollow Knight Silksong and The Last of Us Part 1 being there. They posted a gif of Kratos with a sequence of numbers that, when translated from binary, spelled 30, leading a lot of people to believe that an announcement was due on June 30th. The Snitch later also added a gif of someone shouting order, which was a hint at the fact that pre-orders would go live on that date too. So this of course led to some speculation, especially considering the fact that Cory Barlog, producer on the game, was getting more active over on Twitter. And Cory, he likes to tease us from time to time, so for some people this was adding more oil onto the fire. But he did eventually put his foot down with a tweet addressing the fans directly, saying, "Dear all, if it were up to me, I would share all the information when I know about it. But it is not up to me, so please be patient. I promise things will be shared at the earliest possible moment they can be." Making it pretty clear that he wanted to debunk any rumors. To make it even clearer, when Twitter user Cronies asked him if there would be a reveal tomorrow, he simply replied with no. Jason Schreier also pitched in. There was indeed a release date announcement planned for Thursday, June 30th, per people familiar. Recent tweets from Cory Barlog suggest that it is no longer happening. Still, as far as I know, the game has not been delayed again. So while this did confirm that the Snitch's leak was accurate, Jason now believes that the announcement had been delayed. And yeah, less than 24 hours later, Tom Henderson posted an article in which he described the situation. From his understanding, the plans to reveal the release date for God of War Ragnarok had been changed just a day before, which was supposed to be announced in a blog post. According to Henderson, it's believed that the original contents of the blog consisted of collector's edition details, the release date, and assurance that the game is doing well in development and that gameplay of the game will be at a later date. He also revealed that PlayStation GameSize, a Twitter account we've mentioned many times in our Valhalla videos as well as they do great work, has said that the store page for the game has received an update, perhaps hinting at a change to the pre-order date. And while he does not know the current release date, Henderson still believes that the game will come out in November, with Starfield's prior release date of November 11 still being a likely candidate. So effectively, we've learned nothing then. Well, that's not entirely true, as there are some takeaways from this leak that do tell us some important info. Thanks to Tom, we now know that the game's collector's edition will feature a full 1-to-1 scale Mjolnir, so you get to display Thor's hammer in your own house. There's actually two special editions of the game, the collector's edition and the Jotnar edition, with the Jotnar edition having just the hammer and the collector's also packing some extra goodies like badges, a map of the world and more. No word on how expensive these are going to be, but I definitely think a life-size Mjolnir will sit pretty nice in my living room. And while the delay on the release date announcement might lead you to believe otherwise, it does still look like Ragnarok is coming out in 2022. Not only did Jason Schreier say so in his tweet, we also have Cory Barlog's response to The Gamer 1988. In response to them asking why the studio won't just tell us the game is delayed, he simply responded with, "Because it's not." We of course also had animation director Bruno Velasquez confirming this earlier in the year, and it seems like it is still the plan, judging from Cory's reaction. And while recording for this video, Jason Schreier pitched in again over on Reset Era, once again stating that an announcement was due but had been delayed at the last minute. But like Cory's also saying, Jason has heard the game is still on track for November. Also adding that people working on it say it's huge and seem to be pretty excited about it. Reminds me of the buzz I was hearing before the 2018 one. This does raise an interesting question though, as November is looking pretty packed already. Tom Henderson also pointed this out in his article, noting that the next Need for Speed is currently planned for the 4th of November and Ubisoft Avatar Frontiers of Pandora reportedly releasing on the 18th of November. That last one especially is interesting, as Avatar does have a marketing deal with PlayStation, so it would be a bit strange to release two really big hitters so close to each other. On top of that, Hogwarts Legacy also has a deal with Sony and is currently planned for a holiday 2022 release, which makes a November or December release date the likeliest too. So while it could certainly happen, it does seem strange to release some of the biggest titles of the year so close to each other. We'll have to wait and see, as even though it was delayed this week, I don't think an official God of War announcement is far off now. And with all that attention on Ragnarok this week, it's easy to overlook some of the other leaks we've had, but there's actually some other exciting stuff that was revealed too. Journalist Nick Baker mentioned during the Xbox Era podcast that EA is currently working on a new Marvel game, noting that he also knows which IP in Marvel it would be about, but he wasn't able to share that yet. And while this leaves us with very little info, I do want to give a shout out to Agunga on Reddit, who speculates that EA reskinned Anthem into an Iron Man game, which honestly, even though it's probably meant as a joke, that is not the worst idea I've heard today, and if that's the only good thing to come from Anthem, I'd still say it was worth it. Sticking with Disney IPs, we have Temuera Morrison, the actor behind Django and Boba Fett, mentioning something interesting in an interview as well. When talking to Gaming Bible, he stated that he had a blast doing the voice work on Republic Commando, a first-person shooter set during the Clone Wars, and when asked if he would return to video games for a similar project, he answered,
"There'll be some coming."
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I can let you know that.
Which, in Temuera's case, is actually pretty interesting. You see, the clones, which are copies of his character Django Fett, are voiced by him in the movies, but in the Clone Wars animated series and most of the recent games, they've actually been voiced by D. Bradley Baker. So, Morrison mentioning he will be there to do voice acting, I'm thinking there's two options. Either Boba Fett is going to show up in an upcoming game, which could be any project, or there is currently a Republic Commando sequel in the works. We do know that one team at Respawn, led by Star Wars veteran Peter Hirschman, is in fact currently working on an untitled Star Wars FPS game. And with Republic Commando being a pretty well-loved title, it's not that big a stretch to think they'd make another one and ask Temuera to do the voice work again. So, while we did not receive any big announcements this week, if the rumors are right, we'll still have a lot left to play in 2022. Let us know which game you are most excited for this year. Of course, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and remember to subscribe as well so you won't miss the next one. If you want, you can watch our previous video with more gaming leaks, including some concerning Hogwarts Legacy. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.